There's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Honestly, the same concept applies to your job and internship search. You want to take it one step at a time. So the first step in the job and internship process is making sure that your resume is up to date and ready and polished and professional. The resume is an incredibly important part of the process because it helps to get you noticed and is generally what you will be submitting for consideration to have an employer call you for an interview. All right, now that we have a polished resume, it is now time to put that resume to work and begin the application process. You want to begin by creating targets for your geographic preferences and the types of positions to which you hope to apply for. These can help you filter out results and ensure a more accurate selection of potential positions. Once you find your desired positions using search engines that we talked about and how to apply, you can then begin applying for that process because you have your polished resume, you've made your geographic preferences, you've made the position type preferences, and you are ready to go. So now you have applied to some positions, it's time to wait.
Much later.
And wait.
One eternity later.
And wait. That's not a very fun part of the process, but it is a realistic part of the process. Generally speaking, the job and internship search application process does not move quickly. It's kind of like a slow-moving sloth. One tip that I've always shared with job seekers is to stay organized and keep track of the different types of positions using a spreadsheet of some sort, whether it is a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet or whatever processing system that you're using. Keeping track of the company and the hiring professionals, any sort of emails or phone numbers, dates that you submitted your resume, dates that you followed up, dates that you got called for interviews, if you didn't get an interview, if they ghosted you. Keeping track of all of that content is really important because it helps you to stay focused and organized. And when you get called for an interview, it's a great reminder of what the company's website is, different notes that you've taken about the company culture and the research that you've collected, and it's all in one place, and that way it's easy for you to find when you need it quickly. Okay, so we have polished our resume. We have narrow down our geographic preferences and the types of positions that we hope to apply for. We've applied to positions. We've organized and tracked everything that we need to know for our research. Now we need to prepare for the interview. We went over interview preparation in great detail during week 3 of the Professional Advantage Academy. So this is just a reminder that interviewing is a step in the job and internship search process. If you need a review or reminder of the different types of interviews and how to do interviewing and interviewing tips, go back to week 3 of the Professional Advantage Academy and review any of those resources that you might need a refresher on. One important tip to remember about interviews is that there are different types of interviews for different companies and organizations, and different organizations and companies and positions can have different phases and steps as part of the interview process. Some interviews are really short, 15-20 minute screening interviews to decide if you move on to the next phase. Some interviews are longer, a couple hours. Some interviews are panel interviews where you have multiple people in the room with you. You might have Zoom interviews or web interviews, or you might have to record yourself. There's a lot of different types of interviews, so you want to make sure that you're prepared for all of those different types of interviews, and that different organizations and companies can have different phases of the interview process. So that might look a little bit different for every position that you get called to do an interview for. Another consideration when it comes to interviewing is your professional attire. The general rule of thumb is to wear interview attire that is about one work level up from your typical workday attire. Now, this could include casual attire, business casual, business formal, very formal. So keeping in mind that different positions and different companies and different cultures can have different attire styles. You want to do your research and really understand how you should be dressing for your interview based off of the type of position and the company, organization, and culture. When in doubt, dressing in business formal, like a business suit, is always a safe bet. It's better to be a little overdressed than to be underdressed, especially in an interview situation. We've provided additional resources in the Professional Advantage Academy for you to review professional attire. Being polite and respectful to everyone you meet along the process is a very important part of the job and internship search. You want to take into account that the person who's sitting at the front desk to greet you and the company president are both very critical to the success of an organization. In fact, the person who greets you at the front desk may be a wealth of information and a great person to talk with prior to your interview. So you've gone through the interview process. I'm sure you did great because you gained your professional advantage during week 3. Following the interview, you want to make sure that you take the opportunity to ask questions of the employer. I know, we talked about that in week 3, and there is that video for you to go back and review about asking questions of the employer, but it's an important part of the process, and I wanted to make sure I repeated it here as well. The last step in the process is to write your thank you note or your thank you letter after the interview has concluded. Now this can be sent as an email, it could be a typed letter you send through snail mail. I don't recommend carrier pigeon, not super reliable. You can also handwrite a note and send that through the mail. That's fine too. You want to just take the opportunity and thank the employer for the time that they spent meeting with you and talking with you. Now, that doesn't just mean you send it to one person. If you interview with multiple people as part of a panel, or maybe you're at the organization all day, it's a good idea to get names and emails along the way and just follow up with everybody that you met, thanking them for the time they took to tell you about the organization or their experiences or the position or whatever they shared with you. It shows that you're invested in the organization. It shows that you are a polished professional and that you are willing to go the extra mile to help stand out. By now, as part of the Professional Advantage Academy, you have likely realized I love to share bonus tips. So take advantage of your school's Career Center. You have a career coach who is ready to meet with you and help you and provide you guidance along the way. They can help you polish your resume. They can help you practice specific interview questions that are maybe causing you trouble or challenging you. Or maybe you're just not comfortable. Or maybe you've gone through all 4 weeks so far and you think, gosh, I know what to do, but I still feel confused or lost. Schedule a time to meet with your career coach and chat with them about how they can help you and support you. I also cannot emphasize how you can talk about your career readiness skills throughout your resume, your cover letter, and the interview process. Sharing those career readiness skills and examples and stories of how you have utilized them are going to help you stand above all of the other candidates because we know this is what employers are looking for. If you need a review, make sure you go all the way back to week 1 and check out the video on career readiness skills. During the resume week, we talked a lot about customizing your resume and using ONET as a great resource. ONET does not stop being useful when it comes to resumes. ONET is useful in helping you prepare for interviews, in finding out what skills are necessary for your career, and helping you to think about the daily tasks that you can focus on, and learning more about what specific level of education is required, and a basic understanding of the technology requirements that the position may ask of you. Finally, remember to continue to build your professional network. You can reach out to folks on LinkedIn, you can attend career fairs or networking events, but always utilize your resources and apply, apply, apply.